Food and water ran out 4 days ago. Oxygen will run out tomorrow morning. That'll be it. We lost. All of us. We lost friends. We lost family. We lost a part of ourselves. This is the fight of our lives.
This is gonna work, Steve.
I know it is. Because I don't know what I'm gonna do if it doesn't.
I love The Avengers. Unless you have never watched it, you are probably kind of confused right now. Well, if that's the case, shame on you. It's a great movie. Go watch it. But just kidding. I have enough water and food and oxygen laying around. I'm perfectly healthy filming this monologue. This global pandemic has definitely raised a lot of tensions and conflicts between individuals, groups, and even countries.
All right, well, listen, we gotta, listen. As human beings, we gotta come together at a time like this. So I need you guys to calm down.
It's crazy, and in this monologue, I'm going to cover 3 conflicts that I personally experienced that can also be related to our course material. So there are 3 conflicts I'm going to cover. The first one is a conflict I had with myself, some stress I had to go through. The second conflict was between me and my roommate. The third conflict was between me and my mom. And lastly, I'm going to do some self-reflection on this experience. And let's dive right into it. Like I mentioned above, the first conflict I had was actually an internal conflict I had with myself. So long story short, I made travel plan to Cancun for spring break with a friend. And before the spring break happened, the pandemic started. And we needed to decide whether we're going to go or not, whether it was too risky for us to travel at this time. And before spring break, as you know, that's when all the assignments, midterms are piling up. And with all the academic pressure and this global pandemic, I was stressing out. I was definitely experiencing some hyper stress back there. And I guess I just wouldn't believe that the pandemic was finally here. You know, that means all my plans for the semester are gone. I had very high expectations for this semester. The job I loved, my internship, my projects, but you know, the higher the expectations I had, the more stressed and more frustrated I was because I just couldn't believe it. It's here and everything's gonna be gone. All my plans, everything, and I needed to decide whether we're gonna go or not. I think this is where the ABC model we covered in class comes in. So ABC stands for activate, believe, and consequences. Yes. So the activator in this event is definitely the outbreak of the coronavirus. It was an unexpected event for everyone, and that's why I became stressed. Beliefs. Changing my beliefs about this event was the primary way for myself to deal with this conflict. So I realized how lucky I was when I heard people are literally losing their jobs, are losing their loved ones, or worse yet, they're sick, or they have the coronavirus. I realized how many privileges I have as an individual. My parents were able to pay for my rent. My parents were able to support me. And most of all, I am healthy and no one in my family was directly affected by this coronavirus. And I did a lot of self-talks at this stage, you know, just to hear myself out, just to listen to myself saying all the privileges and how lucky I was. And once I came to this realization, once I changed my beliefs about, me being doomed to being lucky, that's when all my stress started to go away. And the third stage is the consequences. So after discussing with my friend, we decided not to go. We thought it would be irresponsible for us to travel at this time, not only to ourselves but also to our families, people that love us that might be concerned about our safety and healthy. And yeah, we just decided not to go. It was definitely a bummer, but everyone is going through the same thing, and I was okay with it. So there's my first conflict. The second conflict I'm going to cover is the conflict I had with my roommate. So, long story short, he was not taking this pandemic, this social distancing thing very seriously. So one day I was just sitting in my room, and suddenly he brought about 5 people back, and they were just chilling and watching Netflix in our living room. And I was furious. I was like, how can you be so irresponsible? How are you doing this when the government is telling us to stop all sorts of social gathering? You're literally having 6 or 7 people in my living room and watching Netflix. I was very angry at him when I, heard the crowds came into our apartment. I think this is when the STLC model comes in. So STLC stands for stop, listen, communicate, and no, stop, think, listen, and communicate. Yeah, I missed the think the first time. So I think the hardest one in my experience was actually the first stage, was to stop my urge of just storming out and confront him in my living room and in front of all of his friends. I was glad I didn't do that. It was definitely the hardest stage for me. I was just shocked by what happened. I had to take a few deep breaths, calm myself down, and eventually I was able to stop myself from going out and confronting him immediately. And the second stage was to think. I decided to talk to him the second day instead of confronting him in front of all of his friends. Now, it involves some sorts of, face saving for him. I just thought it wouldn't be very wise. It wouldn't be very smart for me just to go out and just yell at him in front of all his friends. As I would be attacking his personal image in front of his friends, and that wouldn't go well. And after I have decided to talk to him the second day, I arranged some of my thoughts, my reasonings. I just thought, the whole country is taking this very seriously, and you shouldn't be doing this. And medical workers are, sacrificing themselves to put themselves on the front line to fight the coronavirus. It's just kind of irresponsible for you to keep bringing people back while everyone else is trying to be, quarantined. It's just not how you're supposed to deal with this. And so that's my second stage, to think everything through. And in my case, the third stage and the fourth stage kind of went hand in hand. The communication process and the mutual listening process we had went really well. They went really well. So the third stage stands for listen. He told me that he didn't think it would be a problem, but he agreed that I had my point, and he agreed to stop bringing people back. And the fourth stage was to communicate. Like I said, the communication stage went really well. I went to him and told him my reasonings and how I felt about, him bringing people back. I was able to talk to him using assertive tone, and without being over aggressive. And overall, the communication process went really well, and he took it really well. Yeah, that's basically how I dealt with my